Right, so I'm riding a Ducati 696 Monster. That is A2 restricted. This is like the third attempt at doing this video. I've had so many issues with the camera, but hopefully, and I'm fairly certain I've solved them, but hopefully I don't jinx it. But this thing is an animal. It sounds gorgeous. It's probably not going to pick it up as good as I'd like it to, obviously when you're riding compared to when it's sort of next to you. But it just sounds beautiful. It's twin Leo Vince cans. I'll jump off obviously at the usual spot and I'll give you a look around it. But it just sounds phenomenal. But yeah, of course, you would have probably already noticed that it's throttle restricted, which is so disheartening of all restrictions. Because I mean, obviously, carb restricted bike, you've got the full rev range, so you sort of still feel like you're able to thrash it. But with this, you almost feel like you can't. And I mean, I think it's got about, I think it is literally on the power limit of the A2, sort of being able to be restricted down. So I think it is literally 94 horsepower, but it obviously has big torque figures because of the engine. Yeah, probably I don't want to rev the cunt out of the bike and fucking wait all that. I'll blip it a bit. I'm not going to rev it like mad because I'll just drive people fucking insane because it's fucking loud. But yeah, 696 Ducati Monster. He hasn't cleaned it, so it's a bit dirty, but it's beautiful. It really is. The first thing I noticed about these is they corner very strangely for a normal bike. Look at the discoloration on the back of his plate from the cans. But yeah, they corner very strange. The front end almost feels extremely light, and the tail end doesn't. So they sort of like they counteract one another. Hellfire dot on the bite. Yeah, they almost counteract each other. So when you sort of hit into a corner, the first corner you go for, the front will respond very well, and you're like, wow, this is nimble. And then the rear sort of doesn't, and you almost feel like you're losing it. And then it sort of all comes back into play. So I mean, the first couple of corners you take on it, regardless if you've ridden it before, I mean, even the first, just going around the roundabout and the first corner out of the roundabout, it again felt very alien, like it wasn't corresponding. But then after a couple of minutes of flapping around on it, you get back into the swing of it, and it feels fine. I mean, of course, my friend that owns it, he had a CBR 125, I think a couple of years newer than my one, so the chunky shape before this. But I mean, obviously now he's so accustomed to this, he doesn't feel any different to him. But obviously, when I sort of the first couple of times I attempted to record it, I've gone back and said sort of the same thing, and he obviously doesn't feel that at all. But obviously I do. It just feels very strange. But even for a restricted bike, the torque is phenomenal. It really feels good. It's not, I mean, it's nowhere near the amount of torque you feel on a street triple, but of course that is a de-restricted bike, and it's a triple as opposed to a V. But it's just very obviously it's a completely different bike in real terms, apart from them both being nakeds. But obviously this is restricted, so you're not going to get the real feel of the torque. But what I mean is, for a restricted bike, it still has a nice amount of torque there, which in my opinion is probably the make or break for this bike. I think if it didn't have the torque figures that it does, I think it just wouldn't be anywhere near as fun. It would just be boring as fucking shit, basically. I mean, obviously the throttle restrictor, I'm not sure really on the percentage it limits you to, and if it's sort of a universal percentage, I would assume it's obviously going to be sort of dependent upon the bike itself and obviously the amount of power they've got to take off. But I'd sort of estimate it about 20% roughly. There isn't much. I mean, you'll see now. That's max throttle. And again. So it's almost the first twist of changing gear. See, off and on, off, on. So you get the gist of it, but it is still, I mean, you can see how well it goes. Even though it only is allowed, well, you're only allowed that much throttle. And it still does quite a good top speed. I mean, obviously when you get up to this is when you want more throttle, because then it'll climb top end higher. I mean, that's what the restrictor's designed to do. Obviously to affect a slight bit of acceleration, but to ultimately hinder your top speed. And you notice that on carb restricted bikes, because they'll get up to about 100 again, just like this did, and it will just lose puff. It will go, and obviously if you're going on a long straight road and you tuck, you'll get maybe 20 miles an hour more if you're lucky. But it loses the real grunt behind it, you know, whereas obviously like the 600 sports bikes off-road, you know, you get up to 100 and you've still got plenty of chunk still pulling you along. It's just started raining heavy, or heavier. But I mean, this is a phenomenal bike, it really is. If I wanted a naked for the A2, this would definitely be the bike. The torque is so enjoyable. But then on the flip side, the restrictor kind of puts you off, because you just, you know, like with the Bandit I rode, you feel like you can thrash the hell out of it, because it's just, you go max throttle every time, you know, you're sort of winding right up on the throttle, changing gear, coming all the way off and then winding it all the way back up again, and that, in my eyes, this is quite fun, whereas a restrictor on this bike doesn't let you do that, which is, yeah, a little bit annoying, but the bike is fantastic, it really is. But it gives me an opportunity to say a couple more things about this. I mean, it's a phenomenal bike, and it's got sort of like, it almost looks like a choke, but it's not, it's a richener for the fuel. And apparently it struggles to start without it, which is obviously why it has it, I assume. But yeah, I mean, at first we all thought it was a carbine, but it's like a 2013 Ducati, you know, so you'd think that Ducati would have probably abandoned carbs long before, you know, this sort of day and age. But no, that is what it is. It's got Brembos front and rear. I'm pretty sure it doesn't have ABS. I'm like 90% sure it doesn't have ABS. Big bangs from this V-twin. Working first. This is, yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't have ABS. Nope. Nope. That limiter comes out of nowhere where their dash is one colour. Out of my way. Fucking annoying. Yeah, the dash definitely should start to change colour. You know, it should go to an amber or something. At least then you know. Oh, it's so weird in a corner. It just feels so front light. Well, the camera died on me then. Yeah, the front end feels so light on it. It just feels scary. Brakes on it are just fucking phenomenal. Just so strong. It's just such a nice sounding bike. What other V-twins have I rode? I really can't think. But Ducatis have quite grown on me very recently. Before even riding this, they started to grow on me. really don't know what bike to get when I can get a full license. I mean, I've said before in a couple of videos, whether they've been uploaded or not, I always forget. But I'm not sure what 600 to go for. I'm going to go for a 600 when I get my full license. I'm not just going to jump straight on a litre bike or a 750 or something like that. I'd rather just ride a 600 for a while and get super confident on 600. I bet these fucking traffic lights aren't picking me up. Oh, I'm fucking running in a second. Fucking shit. Fucking finally. Yeah, when I get my full license, I'm gonna get 600. If I get an inline 4, sorry. But the 848 Ducati's really tempting me. I really want to ride a big V twin, you know, like really big V twin, just to see what it's like, see if I like that. Because I mean, torque is phenomenal, especially since riding the triples. You know, you get that. The torque and you get the power sort of in the mix together, and it feels awesome. So, you know, when you ride something like this, and even restricted, it's got some nice torque to it. So I'd really like to ride a big V twin, basically, just to see if I like it, you know. Because I mean, obviously, yeah, an 848 Ducati is going to cost me a hell of a lot more than, say, an R6 would or something like that. But you know, if it is the case of that, I'll just hold on for a little bit longer and save for a little bit longer. You know, it's not an issue. But it's just one of them things that I'll have to think about. I mean, if I go for an inline, I'll go for a 600, of course, because the only other difference is they do are 750s and 1000s. So if it's an inline, it'll be a 600. Obviously, it's a V, that's different. If it's a triple, it's going to be a 675. I'm very undecided. I'm very undecided. I really don't know what I want, and I've got a long way to wait anyway. But it's just a bit of food for thought, you know. You've seen the various bikes I've rode, and I genuinely cannot pinpoint the exact bike I want. At the moment, I'm definitely leaning more towards an inline for the way they feel. But then the Daytona handles sublimely, so that's quite a contributing factor. And then, you know, V twins with a torque, it's awesome. It is very fun.